You are listening to HOA Cetacean Circus. I brought facts, not feelings. I am a postal carrier in Bend, Oregon, and I hear all the gossip on my route. But I never thought I would become the story. Patricia is standing in my driveway with a clipboard in her hand, color-coded sticky notes labeled by dates fanned out across the top, and she is already yelling before I even get out of my truck. You need to stop construction immediately or the fines start tomorrow. I have not started construction. I have not even ordered the fence yet. She does not care. The HOA received a complaint that I was planning an unauthorized fence installation, and she is here to shut it down before it begins. I work nights delivering mail, so I am used to weird hours and even weirder neighbors. But this is a new level. Patricia Mitchell is the Pool and Amenities Chair for the Canyon View Property Owners Association, and she controls access like a bouncer at an exclusive club. If she does not like you, your pool key stops working. Your guest passes get denied. Your maintenance requests disappear into a black hole. And right now, she does not like me. She waves the clipboard at me. This is a master-planned community where fences are treated like sacred law, and you think you can just do whatever you want. I tell her I have not done anything yet. I only mentioned to my neighbor that I was thinking about a fence to keep my dog from wandering into the common area. She cuts me off. Thinking about it is enough. The HOA has a pre-approval process, and you skipped it. I ask her to show me the rule. She flips through pages on the clipboard, sticky notes fluttering, and jabs her finger at a paragraph. Right here. Any exterior modification requires written approval 30 days in advance. I squint at the page. That section is about paint colors. She does not miss a beat. Fences are considered exterior modifications. I point out that fences are not mentioned anywhere in that section. She snaps the clipboard back. I do not need your explanation, I need your payment. The application fee is $250, and if you install anything without approval, the fine is $500. Per day. I am dealing with a strict landlord requirement here. I rent this place, and my lease says I need to install a fence by the end of the month or my landlord will not renew. The property management company made it crystal clear. No fence, no renewal. I explained this to Patricia when I first moved in, and she told me it was not her problem. Now she is standing in my driveway threatening fines before I have even called a contractor. She taps the clipboard again. You have 24 hours to submit an application with photos, blueprints, material samples, and a signed contractor statement. If I do not receive it, I will issue a formal violation notice. I ask her where I am supposed to get blueprints for a fence I have not designed yet. She smiles, but it is not friendly. That sounds like a you problem. Then she drops the real bomb, and if your contractor vehicles show up without pre-approval, they will be cited or towed. I can fine you daily until you give up and you cry. She says it with this smug little grin like she has done this before and won every time. I watch her walk back to her car, a white sedan with an HOA parking placard on the dash, and I realize this is not going to be a simple fence project. This is going to be a war. That night I pull out my HOA documents. I have a binder from move-in day with the covenants, conditions, and restrictions, plus a welcome packet that is mostly ads for local businesses. I flip through the fence section. It is vague. Really vague. Fences must be consistent with neighborhood aesthetics and may not exceed 6 feet in height. No mention of blueprints. No mention of material samples. No mention of a $250 application fee. I call my buddy Derek, who is a community manager for another HOA across town. He listens to the whole story and then laughs. She is making it up as she goes. Most HOAs have a fence approval process, but it is usually just a one-page form and maybe a sitemap. Blueprints and contractor statements? That is overkill. He tells me to check the official HOA bylaws, not just the welcome packet. If the bylaws do not mention those requirements, Patricia is bluffing. I dig deeper. The Canyon View bylaws are posted on the HOA website, buried under a login wall. I finally get in using the credentials from my move-in packet, and I download the whole document. It is 60 pages of dense legalese, but I find the fence section on page 38. And Derek was right. The bylaws say I need to submit a written request with a property survey and a description of materials. That is it. No blueprints. No contractor statement. No $250 fee. I screenshot the whole section and email it to myself. Then I draft a formal application. I keep it simple. I want to install a 6-foot cedar privacy fence along the rear property line, 40 feet in length, with standard 4x4 posts and 2x6 horizontal rails. I attach a hand-drawn site map showing the approximate location. I do not have a survey yet, but I figure I can get one later if they push back. I submit the application through the HOA portal at 11 p.m. and go to bed feeling like I just won the first round. The next morning, I wake up to an email from Patricia. Application denied. Incomplete materials. You failed to include blueprints, contractor insurance, material samples, and the required fee. Resubmit within 48 hours or face formal enforcement action. I reply with the bylaw screenshots. I followed the bylaws exactly. Your email requests items that are not mentioned in the official governing documents. Please clarify which rule requires blueprints and contractor insurance. Her response comes back in under 5 minutes. The board has discretion to request additional materials as needed to ensure compliance. Your application is incomplete. Resubmit or face enforcement. I call Derek again. He groans. She is playing the discretion card. Boards technically can ask for more info, but they cannot invent fees or requirements that are not in the bylaws. If she keeps blocking you, you might need to escalate to the management company or force a formal hearing. But be careful. If she controls amenities access, she can make your life hell while you fight this. He is right. The pool is the only reason I rent here. My dog loves the grassy common area next to it, and I use the gym 3 times a week. If Patricia locks me out, I lose half the value of living here. But I am not backing down. I send another email, this time copying the HOA management company. I have submitted a complete application per the bylaws. If the board requires additional materials, please provide written justification citing the specific governing document section. I am happy to comply with any legitimate request. The management company responds first. We will review your application and provide feedback within 5 business days. Patricia replies 30 seconds later. You just made this much harder on yourself. That afternoon, I am pulling into my driveway after a morning shift when I see Patricia standing on my lawn. Not near the driveway, on the lawn. She has a tape measure stretched across the grass, one end staked near the property line, the other end in her hand. She is measuring something. I get out of the truck. What are you doing? She stands up fast, letting the tape measure snap back with a metallic zing. I am conducting a site inspection. The board has the right to inspect any property for compliance purposes. I ask her if she has permission to be on my property. She waves her clipboard. This is common area. I point to the property line, which is clearly marked by a change in grass height where my landlord mows and the HOA does not. She ignores me. Your proposed fence location encroaches on the drainage easement. You will need to move it back 3 feet, or your application will be denied. I have not even told her where I plan to put the fence. She is guessing. I ask her to show me the drainage easement on a map. She taps the clipboard. It is in the county records. Not my job to educate you. But if you install a fence in the easement, the county will make you remove it, and the HOA will fine you for the removal costs. I take a deep breath. I need a survey. A real one. If Patricia is going to play games with property lines and easements, I need documentation that she cannot argue with. I call a local surveyor that afternoon and schedule an appointment for the end of the week. It is going to cost me $400, but it is worth it to shut her down. 2 days later, I get a notice taped to my front door. Violation. Unauthorized site preparation. A box of screws was observed in your driveway on the evening of the 14th, indicating imminent construction activity. You are hereby ordered to cease all preparation and remove all materials. Failure to comply will result in a $500 fine. I stare at the notice. A box of screws. I bought a box of screws at the hardware store because they were on sale. I left them in my truck bed, and I guess they fell out when I unloaded groceries. They are still sitting in the driveway, unopened. This is insane. I take photos of the box, the driveway, and the notice. Then I email the management company again. I am being cited for having a box of screws in my driveway. This is not construction. This is harassment. Please intervene. The management company replies the next day. We have forwarded your concern to the board. Please allow time for them to review. Patricia emails me directly an hour later. The notice stands. Remove the materials or face escalation. I move the box of screws into my garage and wonder how much worse this is going to get. The surveyor arrives on Saturday morning. His name is Tom, and he is older, maybe mid-60s, with a no-nonsense attitude and a truck full of equipment. He sets up his tripod in the front yard and starts measuring. I explain the situation, how Patricia has been threatening me over a fence I have not built yet, how she claims there is a drainage easement that will block my plans. Tom nods. Let me check the county records first. He pulls out a tablet and logs into some kind of database. After a few minutes, he shakes his head. There is no drainage easement on your lot. There is one on the lot behind you, but it does not extend onto your property. Whoever told you that was wrong. I feel a rush of relief. So I can put the fence where I want? Tom measures a few more points and then walks the property line with a string and stakes. Once he is done, he shows me the results on his tablet. Your rear property line is exactly where you think it is. You have got about 3 feet of clearance from the legal line to where the HOA common area starts. Plenty of room for a fence. He prints out a copy of the survey and hands it to me. If anyone gives you trouble, show them this. It is a legal document. County certified. I thank him and pay the invoice. Then I scan the survey and email it to the HOA management company with a new application. Here is the required survey. My proposed fence is entirely within my property boundaries and does not encroach on any easement. Please approve. Patricia responds in under an hour. The survey shows non-compliance with setback requirements. Your fence must be set back 5 feet from the property line per neighborhood covenants. Resubmit. I pull out the bylaws again. There is no 5-foot setback requirement. The only setback mentioned is for structures over 10 feet tall, and that is 3 feet from the side property line. Fences are not included. I reply with another screenshot. There is no 5-foot setback for fences in the governing documents. Please cite the specific rule you are referencing. She does not reply. Instead, I get a call from the management company. They want to schedule a meeting. Not a formal hearing. Just a meeting with the board to discuss my application. I agree, figuring it is a chance to clear things up. The meeting is set for the following Tuesday at 6 p.m. in the clubhouse. On Monday night, I get a doorbell camera notification. Someone is at my front door. I check the feed. It is Patricia. She is standing on my porch, looking directly at the camera, and then she steps off the porch and walks around the side of the house toward the backyard. I watch her disappear from view. I pull up the backyard camera feed. She is walking along the property line, stopping at each survey stake, bending down to look at them. Then she pulls out her phone and takes photos. After a few minutes, she walks back to the front and leaves. I save the footage and add it to my evidence folder. If she tries to claim she has never been on my property, I have proof. The next night, I show up to the meeting early. The clubhouse is a small building near the pool with a meeting room that holds about 20 people. There are folding chairs arranged in rows, a long table at the front for the board, and a projector screen on the wall. Patricia is already there, setting up her clipboard and sticky notes on the table. 2 other board members are with her. An older man who introduces himself as the treasurer and a younger woman who is the secretary. The HOA president is running late. I take a seat in the front row. Derek texted me earlier with advice. Stay calm. Stick to facts. Do not let them bait you into an argument. If they try to railroad you, ask for a formal hearing with written notice. They cannot deny you due process. The president arrives 10 minutes late. His name is Greg, and he looks tired. He sits down, glances at Patricia, and then at me. All right. Let us get started. This is an informal discussion about your fence application. Patricia, can you summarize the board's concerns? Patricia stands up. She loves this. She has her clipboard in hand, sticky notes perfectly aligned, and she launches into a presentation like she is prosecuting a case. The applicant submitted an incomplete application. He failed to provide blueprints, contractor insurance, and material samples. He has been uncooperative with site inspections. And most concerning, his proposed fence location violates multiple covenants. She clicks a button on a remote, and the projector screen lights up with a photo of my backyard. It is one of the photos she took from her phone the night before. She points to the survey stakes. As you can see, the applicant has already begun marking the site without approval. This is a clear violation of the pre-approval requirement. I raise my hand. Those are survey stakes. The surveyor placed them to mark the legal property line. That is not construction. Greg nods. Okay, noted. Patricia, what specific covenant does his fence violate? She flips through her clipboard and jabs at a page. Section 12, subsection C. All fences must maintain a 5-foot setback from the rear property line. I stand up. Can I respond? Greg nods. I pull out my printed copy of the bylaws and hold it up. Section 12, subsection C, applies to structures over 10 feet in height. Fences are not mentioned in that section. There is no 5-foot setback requirement for fences anywhere in the governing documents. Patricia does not even blink. The board has interpreted that section to include fences. We have applied this standard consistently across the neighborhood. I ask her to show me one example. She hesitates. Then she says we do not disclose other homeowners' information. But trust me, it has been applied. Greg leans forward. Patricia, if we have been applying a 5-foot setback for fences, we should have documentation. Can you pull that for the next meeting? She nods, but I can see her jaw tighten. Then I play my next card. I pull out my phone and open the doorbell camera footage. I would also like to address the site inspection that occurred last night. I show the video on my phone. Patricia is clearly visible walking around my property, photographing the survey stakes. Greg frowns. Patricia, did you conduct a site inspection? She crosses her arms. I have the authority to inspect properties for compliance. I did nothing wrong. I keep my voice calm. I did not give permission for anyone to enter my property. And the footage shows that this inspection happened at night, without notice. That feels more like trespassing than a compliance check. The treasurer clears his throat. Greg, maybe we should table this and reconvene with more documentation. I do not think we are ready to make a decision tonight. Patricia snaps. We do not need more documentation. The violation is clear. He is trying to install a fence in a restricted area. If we approve this, every homeowner will start ignoring setback rules. I interrupt. What setback rules? Show me the rule. Cite the document. She glares at me. I do not need your explanation, I need your payment. You owe the HOA $250 for the application fee, and if you continue to delay, we will add late fees. Greg holds up a hand. Okay, everyone take a breath. Let me review the bylaws tonight, and we will schedule a formal hearing. I want everything in writing. Patricia, I need you to pull any past applications where we applied a 5-foot setback. and I need you to confirm the application fee structure with the management company." Patricia looks like she just got punched, but she nods. The meeting ends, and I walk out feeling cautiously optimistic. But as I reach my truck, Patricia catches up to me in the parking lot. "You just made a big mistake. You think you can embarrass me in front of the board and get away with it?" I do not respond. I just unlock my truck and get in. She stands there, glaring, her portable folding sign stand leaning against her leg like a weapon. I drive away, watching her in the rearview mirror. The next morning, I get an email from the management company. "After reviewing your application and the board meeting minutes, we are requesting additional documentation. Please provide proof that your proposed fence complies with all setback requirements. If the board has applied a 5-foot setback in the past, we need to verify consistency." It is not an approval, but it is not a denial either. It is progress. I reply with the survey, the bylaw screenshots, and a formal request for copies of any prior fence applications that were subject to a 5-foot setback. Let me see the consistency Patricia keeps talking about. Days pass. The survey stakes keep getting moved. I check them every morning before my shift, and twice I find them pulled out of the ground and tossed into the bushes. I set up a motion-activated trail camera aimed at the backyard. 2 nights later, it catches someone in a red blazer and blue sun hat walking along the property line and yanking out a stake. I download the footage and add it to my growing evidence file. Every time she moves a stake, I reset it and document the interference. I need daylight photos before it happens again, because the time pressure is killing me. My lease renewal deadline is 2 weeks away, and my landlord is not budging. Fence or no renewal. Then I get the email I have been waiting for. The management company sends me a PDF. It is a record request response. "We have reviewed all fence applications submitted to the Canyon View HOA in the past 5 years. None were subject to a 5-foot setback requirement. All approved fences were installed at or near the property line, consistent with the governing documents." I read it 3 times to make sure I am not missing anything. Patricia lied. She has been applying a rule that does not exist, and she has been doing it only to me. I forward the email to Greg, the HOA president, with a short note. It appears the 5-foot setback rule was never applied to any other homeowner. I would like to proceed with my application as submitted. Greg replies within an hour. "I will bring this to the board. We will schedule a formal hearing next week." But Patricia is not done. That afternoon, I get a certified letter. It is a formal violation notice. "You are in violation of Canyon View covenants for unauthorized site preparation, obstruction of common area access, and failure to comply with pre-approval requirements. You are fined $500, effective immediately. If the violation is not cured within 10 days, additional fines of $500 per day will be assessed." I call Derek. He listens to the whole thing and then curses under his breath. "She is trying to bury you in fines before the hearing. You need to escalate this now. File a formal complaint with the management company. Demand a hearing. And if she keeps harassing you, consider getting a lawyer." I do not have lawyer money. I am a postal carrier. My budget is tight. But I draft a formal complaint and send it to the management company, copying Greg and the board. I include the trail camera footage, the doorbell video, the survey, the bylaw screenshots, and the management company's own email confirming that no 5-foot setback was ever applied. Then I wait. The hearing is scheduled for the following Thursday. In the meantime, Patricia ramps up the pressure. My pool access card stops working. I try to get into the gym, and the door does not unlock. I call the management company, and they tell me my amenities access has been suspended pending resolution of the outstanding violation. I ask them who authorized the suspension. They say it was the amenities chair. Patricia. If you are enjoying this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more HOA drama. Derek calls me that night. He sounds worried. "Listen, I talked to a friend who works in HOA management. If Patricia is locking you out of amenities as retaliation, that is a huge liability. Amenities access cannot be suspended without a formal hearing and a violation that actually affects safety or common property. A fence dispute does not qualify. You need to document every time you get locked out and file another complaint. I start keeping a log. Every time I try to use the pool or gym, I take a photo of the card reader showing access denied. I email the management company each time. They respond with generic "we are looking into it" messages. The Thursday hearing finally arrives. I show up 30 minutes early with a 3-ring binder. I have got tabs for every document: survey, bylaws, management company emails, trail camera footage, doorbell video, access denial logs. It is organized like a legal case, because I know Patricia is going to come at me hard. The board is already seated when I walk in. Greg is in the center, flanked by the treasurer, the secretary, and 2 other members I have not met. Patricia is at the far end, her clipboard stacked high with sticky notes, her portable folding sign stand leaning against the wall behind her. Greg opens the meeting. This is a formal hearing regarding the fence application submitted by the homeowner at Lot 43. We are here to review the application, address any concerns, and make a final decision. Let us start with the applicant. Can you summarize your request? I stand up and open my binder. I am requesting approval to install a 6-foot cedar privacy fence along the rear property line of my lot. I have submitted a complete application per the governing documents, including a certified survey confirming that the proposed location is entirely within my property boundaries and does not encroach on any easement or setback. Greg nods. Patricia, do you want to respond? She stands up, and I can see she has been preparing for this. She has a slideshow ready on the projector. She clicks through photos of my property, the survey stakes, the box of screws in the driveway. Each slide is annotated with red circles and arrows like a crime scene investigation. The applicant has demonstrated a pattern of non-compliance. He began site preparation without approval. He failed to provide required materials. He has been hostile and uncooperative with board inspections. And most critically, his proposed fence violates the 5-foot setback rule that this board has applied consistently for years. I raise my hand. Greg nods at me. Can I respond? He gestures for me to go ahead. I pull out the management company email and hold it up. This is a record request response from the HOA management company. It confirms that no fence application in the past 5 years has been subject to a 5-foot setback. The rule Patricia is citing does not exist in the governing documents, and it has never been applied to any other homeowner. I pass copies of the email to the board members. Patricia's face goes pale. She flips through her clipboard, sticky notes fluttering. That is not accurate. I have applied this rule multiple times. Greg cuts her off. Patricia, do you have documentation? Any past applications where we applied a 5-foot setback? She hesitates. I would need to pull those files. But I assure you, we have been consistent. The treasurer speaks up. I have been on this board for 3 years, and I do not remember ever applying a 5-foot setback for fences. I think we need to verify this before we go further. Patricia is scrambling now. She pulls out another sheet from her clipboard and starts reading aloud. Section 12. Subsection C clearly states that all structures must maintain a 5-foot setback from rear property lines. I interrupt. That section applies to structures over 10 feet in height. Fences are not mentioned. She keeps reading, louder now, like volume will make her write. And Section 14, subsection A requires all modifications to be consistent with neighborhood aesthetics, which includes setback standards. I flip to Section 14 in my binder and read it aloud. Section 14, subsection A, states that modifications must be consistent with existing neighborhood aesthetics. It does not mention setbacks. And if setbacks were required, they would be listed in Section 12, which I have already addressed. Greg holds up a hand. Okay, I think we have heard enough on the setback issue. Based on the management company's research, it does not appear that a 5-foot setback has been applied in the past. Unless Patricia can provide documentation to the contrary, I am inclined to approve the application as submitted. Patricia stands up fast, her chair scraping on the floor. You cannot do that. If you approve this, it sets a precedent. Every homeowner will start pushing boundaries. Greg looks tired. Patricia, we have to follow our own rules. If the governing documents do not require a 5-foot setback, we cannot enforce one. She is not done. What about the site preparation violations? He installed survey stakes without approval. He had construction materials in his driveway. He has been obstructing access to common areas. I pull out the trail camera footage on my tablet and hold it up. I would like to address the survey stakes. I set up a camera because the stakes kept getting moved. This footage shows someone in a red blazer removing stakes from my property at night. I play the clip. The room goes silent. Patricia's face flushes red. That was a compliance inspection. I have the authority to inspect properties. I keep my voice calm. You do not have the authority to remove survey stakes. That is interference with a legal property boundary marker. I also have doorbell footage showing you entering my property without permission. The secretary leans forward. Patricia, if you were conducting inspections, you should have provided notice to the homeowner. Entering property without permission is a liability issue. Patricia crosses her arms. I was doing my job. If the board does not support me, I will resign. The room goes quiet. No one says anything for a long moment. Then Greg speaks. Patricia, no one is asking you to resign. But we need to follow proper procedures. If you have concerns about a homeowner's property, you need to coordinate with the management company, not conduct solo inspections at night. She glares at me. This is not over. I pull out my final card. I waited for the right audience. Because the reveal needed witnesses. I open a new tab on my tablet and pull up a screenshot. It is from the Canyon View HOA group chat, a private Facebook group for board members and homeowners. The screenshot shows a thread from 2 weeks ago. Patricia started it. Subject line is Lot 43 Non-Compliance Strategy. I read it aloud. Patricia wrote, "We need to shut this down before he finishes the fence. If we can stack enough fines, he will not be able to afford the project. Let us coordinate enforcement actions so he cannot keep up. I have already suspended his amenities access to apply pressure." Another board member replied, "Are we sure this is legal?" Patricia responded, "Trust me. I have done this before. He will fold." I hand the tablet to Greg. He reads it, and his face goes pale. The treasurer reads it next, and then the secretary. They pass it down the table. Patricia is frozen, her mouth open, no words coming out. Greg sets the tablet down. "Patricia, this is coordinated retaliation. This is not enforcement. This is harassment. I am going to recommend that we approve this application immediately, and I am going to refer this matter to the management company and the HOA attorney for review." Patricia finally finds her voice. "That chat was private. How did you get access?" I do not answer. I just wait. Greg continues. "The board has an obligation to enforce rules fairly and consistently. If you have been targeting this homeowner, that is a serious breach of fiduciary duty. I am going to ask you to step down from the amenities chair position, effective immediately." She shakes her head. "No, you cannot do that. I have been on this board for 6 years. I have done more for this neighborhood than any of you." Greg does not raise his voice. "Patricia, if you do not step down voluntarily, I will call for a vote to remove you. Do not make this harder than it needs to be." She looks around the table. No one meets her eyes. The treasurer is staring at his hands. The secretary is typing notes on a laptop. The other two board members look uncomfortable but silent. Patricia grabs her clipboard, her sticky notes scattering across the table. Fine. I resign. But you are all going to regret this. She storms out, dragging her portable folding sign stand behind her. The door slams, and the room is silent. Greg clears his throat. All right. Let us vote. All in favor of approving the fence application as submitted? 5 hands go up. Approved. And all in favor of referring Patricia's conduct to the management company and HOA attorney for investigation? 5 hands again. Motion carries. I will send a written reversal from management with a real citation by the end of the week. I exhale for what feels like the first time in an hour. Thank you. Greg nods. I am sorry you had to go through this. This should never have happened. We will make sure your amenities access is restored immediately, and if you incurred any costs due to this situation, please submit a reimbursement request to the management company. I walk out of the meeting room feeling like I just survived a tornado. My phone buzzes. It is Derek. How did it go? I text back, she resigned. He responds with 3 fire emojis and a thumbs up. Over the next week, things move fast. The management company sends me a formal approval letter for the fence. My amenities access is restored. The HOA attorney sends me a written reversal, canceling all fines and issuing a formal apology. And the real kicker, the attorney includes a citation for Patricia, noting that her conduct violated multiple sections of the governing documents and could result in personal liability if any legal action is pursued. I call a contractor the next day. He comes out, looks at the survey, and gives me a quote. The fence goes up in 3 days. It is beautiful. 6-foot cedar, perfectly aligned with the property line, no setback issues, no drama. My dog loves it. My landlord renews my lease. 2 weeks later, I get an email from the HOA management company. They are scheduling a special meeting to address board governance and enforcement policies. The email includes a draft resolution to formalize the application process, eliminate discretionary fees, and require written notice for any site inspections. It is everything I wanted, spelled out in black and white. The meeting happens on a Tuesday night. I show up out of curiosity. The clubhouse is packed. Apparently, I was not the only homeowner Patricia targeted. 3 other people stand up during public comment and share their stories. One guy had his trash bin placement cited 6 times in 2 months. A woman had her holiday lights flagged as a fire hazard even though they were LED and county approved. Another guy was fined for parking his work truck in his own driveway because Patricia decided it was a commercial vehicle. By the end of the meeting, the board votes to adopt the new resolution. They also vote to open a recall election for the remaining board members who were part of the group chat coordination. The recalls pass. New leadership takes over before the next project gets targeted. I run into Patricia one more time about a month later. I am at the gas station at the edge of the subdivision, filling up my truck when she pulls in. She gets out of her car, sees me, and walks over. I brace for another confrontation, but she just stands there, arms crossed. You ruined everything. I worked hard for this neighborhood, and you destroyed it. I shake my head. I did not destroy anything. I just asked you to follow your own rules. She does not have a response. She gets back in her car and drives away. I finish filling up and head home. The fence is still standing. The dog is happy. The lease is renewed. And the Canyon View Property Owners Association has new leadership that actually reads the bylaws before issuing fines. Sometimes you have to fight back. Sometimes the only way to win is to make them follow their own rules. And sometimes, just sometimes, the HOA loses. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next HOA story.